Sir David Attenborough. Of course we knew it was Sir David Attenborough. But do you know what? Lord Attenborough, of course, was his brother. That was why I was confused.
Lord to us.
Yeah, he is. Exactly.
Yeah.
Was Prince of everything. King of everything. The Queen's birthday honours list. So, as we heard in the news, we've got all sorts of people. We've got Olivia Colman, CBE, Bear Grylls, OBE. We've got the sculptor, Rachel Whiteread. She got one. Confederation of British Industry Chief, Carolyn Fairbairn. Maggie's Cancer Centre's founder, Laura Lee. Amongst the new dames, there's all sorts of people. Simon Russell Beale, Andrew Parker, etc., etc. Mark Llewellyn-Slade is an awards and honours expert. Joins us now. Mark, morning to you.
Good morning, Penny.
First of all, when did this all start? Is this something that started in the, 14th century, 15th, 13th?
It's been around for well over 100 years now in its current format. And of course, when it comes to the honours system, we tend to focus on the likes of Bear Grylls and Alfie Boe and the people you just mentioned. But these days, it's about what I describe ordinary people. People doing great community and charity work, as well as outstanding philanthropists, entrepreneurs, doctors, business leaders, and the like. So the million-dollar question here is, have these people gone above and beyond the call of duty? Because people don't get honours for simply doing their job, or at least they shouldn't.
I'll tell you what's quite funny is that I bumped into two of the people who've been with these, and we're having one on the show. We've got Bethany Hughes has become an OBE, and Emma Basie, who's the ex-England netball captain, was at the same event that I was at. We were at the Epsom Derby, and it's so funny. I was just meeting all these people, and they didn't whisper a word of it.
Well, there you go. They will have got a letter about 6 weeks ago from the Cabinet Office saying that the Queen is minded to give them whatever it is, MBE, OBE. And if she were to do so, would they accept it? And they have to return that letter having ticked a box saying yes or no. And if they tick yes, then they'll be on the list. And if they tick no, they won't be. And that's to avoid any embarrassment for Her Majesty, because there have been one or two examples in the distant past of particularly pop stars and actors turning down an honour for political reasons or whatever. So yeah, they will have got a letter, and it says, please don't tell anyone. They're sworn to secrecy, but of course one or two people do leak it. But if you're not famous, you have to be in it to win it, and people can't nominate themselves. So if your listeners know of someone who they feel is worthy, then put them forward. You can nominate friends, family members, business and community contacts. But as I say, somebody has to put pen to paper and nominate them. And it is quite a long and time-consuming process. For example, we spend about 100 to 150 hours on a typical nomination. So it's not something that can be done in your lunch hour kind of thing.
Morning, Mark. It's Ray here. Interesting to
Hi,
hear
Ray.
you. Morning. You mentioned avoiding embarrassment for the Queen. This year's honours list isn't without its controversy. Glyn Williams, the former head of migration policy at the Home Office during what ended up being the Windrush scandal, is one of those named this year. Should people like that really be getting awards of this importance?
People certainly shouldn't get honours for simply doing their job. Otherwise, every nurse and firefighter and police officer would have an honour. So people who are given honours simply for completing a role for a couple or 3 years shouldn't really automatically get a gong. They should have excelled in that role during that period. I think that's the fairest way to do it. And on the whole, the honour system is very fair, very meritocratic, and very open and honest. But there are always going to be one or two names that come up, and there'll always be a dollop of controversy when the list finally comes out.
Surely it's more than just controversy. If you're one of the relatives of one of the people who died after being wrongly deported and returned to the Caribbean, seeing the Queen giving an honour to a man that presided over the Home Office at this time as the head of migration policy is more than, it's really offensive, isn't it?
Well, I can understand people feeling that way. All I can say is I don't know this person's background and their wider achievements. Maybe they have done other things as well. But I absolutely agree with you. It could upset people, and clearly has upset some people, and I get that. But I'd have to look at the background of that person in more detail, really, to know what else they may have done in their career.
And every time we have the Queen's birthday honours list, every time we have any kind of honours list, there are people who say, but is there any point in this day and age? Because after all, for every one actor that is up there, there are another 10 who are possibly better actors, just haven't had the breaks, they haven't had the fame and fortune, therefore they're not there.
Well,
I'm not just talking about actors, I'm talking about in any sphere. I was just particularly happened to be looking at, my eyes happened to be gazing at Olivia Colman at the time.
Yeah, and let's remember that about 75% of honours today have gone to extraordinary community and charity workers. And by giving them that recognition, it will motivate them to go on to even greater things. And quite a lot of people start by getting a low to mid-level honour, and then maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 years later get upgraded because they were motivated to go on to even greater things. So I think it's important to recognise these people and motivate them. Also, it raises the profile of the causes that they've been championing as well, because suddenly when someone gets an honour, people want to know why they got it, what they did, and it gives them a platform to talk about those great causes. So I think there's definitely a place for the honour system.
Mark, what happens after these announcements are made? What's the process? Do you go and meet the Queen and she kind of congratulates you and pats you on the back?
Yeah, all these people will most probably go to Buckingham Palace and be given their honour by the Queen. It might be by Prince Charles or another senior royal, but they'll definitely go and be formally given their honour over the next month or two. So, and they can take a couple of friends or family members as well.
Hangers on.
It's a great day out.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that we've got the man who invented the Tunnock's tea cake getting one, knighted for services to business and charity. I didn't actually know that the Tunnock's tea cake was actually named after him. He's 86, Boyd Tunnock, the South Lanarkshire firm. He says, when you get to my age, very few things surprise you, but this certainly did.
Oh,
I know.
that's funny.
And I love a Tunnock's tea cake. Are you with me on that, Mark?
Oh, I love a Tunnock's tea cake, absolutely. And it's of course the Honours and Appointments Secretariat that make these decisions, and they carry out the basic fact checks and all that kind of stuff. And then the names go to one of 9 specialist subcommittees. So if you're a doctor, you go to the health subcommittee. If you're a teacher, you go to education and so forth. So it's these specialist committees that make the recommendations as to what level of honour someone gets. And then they pass those recommendations to the office of the Prime Minister, whoever that might be. And the Prime Minister's office then pass them to Buckingham Palace to rubber stamp. So it's a group of experts at the Cabinet Office who look at these nominations, because there's no point in, I don't know, for example, an entrepreneur looking at a doctor's nomination and having to make a call on what that doctor or surgeon's done and whether that's really cutting edge.
Absolutely.
Or whatever. So, yeah, they are experts.
Thank you so much for taking us round what it's all about. Mark Llewellyn-Slade there, Awards and Honours expert. And I love the fact that 15 foster carers have become NBEs, looked after more than 1,000 children between them. See, that's when I feel like standing up and saluting.
Yeah, it's those sorts of stories that I like, and I don't care so much about the celebrities that get them.
Well, there's just something very odd about somebody who's an actor getting one of these, unless they've done something else with their celebrity, which maybe they have.
I do love Olivia Colman. I hope she goes in character.
You mean as the Queen?
Yeah, that would be great.
From The Favourite. That was
brilliant.